body to be able to get to the point where it's able to hold up and withstand contact after contact, because to be successful here, we need to use our tight end in the run game, and I just can't be out catching passes and receiving, so I got to be able to do that job as well. So definitely blocking.
Seems like people put you on the same track that Jeremy Ruckert was on, coming from high school, kind of wide receiver to becoming a tight end. Do you feel like you're starting to make that officially kind of become a true tight end?
Yeah, definitely with Jeremy here my first 2 years. He kind of talked to me about how he was kind of on the same track as me, and we were kind of the same build coming out of high school, and we all saw the player he turned out to be. But yeah, he helped me a lot with that, and yeah, I feel myself getting stronger physically, being able to kind of move guys off the line and become a true tight end like he ended up being.
What are your thoughts on the depth in the tight end room? It seems like pretty good depth with Cade and yourself and G and Mitch. Bennett's in the mix, and Sam. It seems like it's pretty good depth in there.
Yeah, I think we have a really diverse group, which makes us good. We have a bunch of guys who are good at different things, and when you kind of put us all together, we kind of have everything. But we can't really rely on just one guy being able to do one thing, because defenses could catch on to that. Like if Cade's just in there and he's just only blocking or something, they'll figure out he's only blocking. If I go in, they'll be like, oh, he's just receiving. So Coach Wilson and offense is doing a good job of making us being able to do everything. But yeah, we have really good depth.
What makes Cade Stover worthy of being a captain, and can you speak to your experiences with his leadership in the locker room?
I'm really close with Cade. He's a good friend of mine. I'm rooming with him in camp right now, actually, and he's just a high-energy guy. He brings it day in and day out. You never really see him just kind of like, here we go again, stuff like that. He's always bringing energy, lifting guys up. He goes hard every single play. He has all the respect. He's always an Iron Buckeye through off season with Coach Mick, and he's just a dude who works hard, and everybody sees that and respects him.
Is he still selling meat? I meant to ask him that. He was selling.
Yeah.
Him and Jeremy Ruckert was saying after he got drafted, he wanted to buy half a cow worth of meat.
Yeah,
from Stover Farms.
I'm sure. Yeah, his family's still selling meat. I haven't really talked to him much about it, but yeah, I'm sure they're still doing that.
So how challenging is just the rotation? That, as you already mentioned, you got a bunch of guys that do a lot of different things. How challenging is it to find your niche in that? I mean, obviously Mitch is a totally different body style than you. G's trying to get to that tight end weight. You and Cade and maybe Sam and Bennett are more traditional builds at this point.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is it to just find a consistent role and niche?
Through kind of preseason, we really haven't had consistent roles. We're all just trying to get plays, really, keep developing, doing all kinds of different jobs. So right now we're not really thinking too much of kind of what the depth is or game plan or like who's going to be playing or not when the season starts. We're just all trying to get our plays in, keep developing, and get better at each and every job.
Joe, when you come to Ohio State, you kind of know what the tight end role does.
Yep.
But to actually be in it now for a few years and truly accept how the tight ends are used here, has that been a difficult thing for you to do, or do you just kind of put your head down and keep working?
No, I mean, coming out of high school, I was an ex receiver, caught a lot of balls, and I kind of knew what I was coming into when I was being recruited and eventually committed here. See it on game day, and Coach Wilson and coaches would let me know, like, hey, if you got to be able to block. So I already knew that coming in, and it was hard at first just because I was little, so I couldn't really do it as well. But now since I've gained weight, gotten stronger, it's been better. And I don't mind blocking. Still got to get better at it, but it's just fun getting out there on the field.
You just talked about how much he had to eat to gain all of his weight. Have you had to be on a similar track, or do you kind of gain your weight a little more naturally?
It took me a while to gain weight. My metabolism's super fast. It's kind of slowed down a little bit, but right now I feel good at my weight, and I reached my goal weight that kind of Coach Mick and the coaches wanted me to play at. So right now I'm feeling well. But yeah, it took me. I'm going in my third year, and I'm just now kind of finally getting there with my weight. So yeah, it took me a couple years to gain weight.
When you finally hit the goal weight, were you pretty pumped?
Yeah, and I've hit it before, but then I'd kind of drop back down a little bit. But now I was just kind of living there, and I just wake up every day and kind of be at that weight. And they'll obviously, if I can gain more weight, they'll want me to do that. But right now, yeah, I'm feeling real well.
What was that goal number, by the way?
It was 245, but kind of the lowest I ever was here one time was around 225. So I've gained about 20 pounds.
Can you feel that You line up
Yeah.
on you line up on the line of
Oh
scrimmage.
yeah, for sure. I was getting tossed, snagged around when I first got here. Now I kind of got more legs behind me, can kind of create some contact and movement.
Joe, have any guys tried to make bets with you about your hair? Like, you score against Notre Dame, they get to cut it.
No, not really. They all kind of know it's kind of my thing. They all like it. The only person that's kind of said something it was just kind of heat of the moment thing. Zach Herbstreit was like, "I'll give you $250 right now if you shave it." I didn't, obviously, but yeah, that's the only thing I've kind of gotten.
What would the price be? What's it going to take? Sounds like an NIL deal.
I don't really know, honestly. I'm a big fan. I mean, it's just hair. My hair grows back really fast, so I'm not too worried. Maybe if I get a good price up there, I'll probably end up doing it. But right now, I'm hanging on to it.
Could this turn into your like James Harden growing out the beard? Instead, it's the hair, and it just gets bigger and bigger as your career goes on.
I don't like to get it too big. It's kind of good length right now. When I start really growing out, it starts to like dread up in the back. I'm not really a fan of that, so I just kind of like to keep it kind of what it is now. But yeah, it's kind of my trademark thing. So.
Compare yours to Stover's. Is that some kind of mohawk? What's going on?
Yeah, he gets his dad actually cuts. His dad's his barber, and he's been having that haircut since he was a kid. So that's his thing as well. I got my thing, and we both like it.
A lot of times when you look at a tight end, the areas of
wrap it up with
emphasis
the tight
kind of
ends,
route
folks.
running and stuff like that. But you talk a lot about your weight. How important is it to meet that weight to get bigger, smaller, depending on what Coach Wilson deems necessary?
Yeah, it's really important because I kind of mentioned it earlier. You got to be able to block here, and you can be really strong and still kind of light, but the more weight you have, the more kind of momentum and like force you can make coming off the ball. So like there's really strong guys who are lighter in weight, but they can't really make too much movement because they're just like strong through here. But then there's heavier guys who maybe aren't as strong like his bench or something like that, but they can kind of create more movement just because they weigh more. So yeah, weighing more definitely helps and is important.
Back in the spring,
I haven't spent a second in Ohio State football, Pat, so I'm going off assumption here. Is that first meeting of, hey, we want you to move up from this weight to this weight or move down from this weight to this weight, does that give you any indicator on you're going to be a block-heavy tight end or a route-running tight end?
Not really, no. They just kind of look at it at each guy and what they think he'll play best at, because throughout years here, we have really good sports science teams, and they'll see like how we move, how fast we're running, how much we're lifting at a certain weight, and like compare it to other weights, and they'll try to decide which weight they think will suit us best. So they just kind of go off each guy.
back in the spring, CJ was asked who the most underrated player is in the offense, and he said you. What kind of motivation is that for you to be a guy that maybe is overlooked right now, trying to make a name for yourself, and to have a quarterback who was very talented? Last question for Joe there.
Yeah, obviously it kind of meant a lot to me. You know, CJ Stroud, a really talented guy, Heisman guy. For him to say that, it kind of opened my eyes, and I was like, yeah, I guess I am doing pretty well. And I don't mind really being underlooked. It was just spring ball. It's not really like it was the season or anything. But yeah, it definitely motivated me, and I wanted to kind of stay on that track and hopefully show all you guys and the fans during when the season would come.
Thanks, Joe.